Welcome to WikiAfrica Hour, a monthly live broadcast airing the fresh perspectives of Africa's Wikimedians. It's a space where they share their work and knowledge and digest, through African realities, the global Wikimedia movement. WikiAfrica Hour, the voice of African Wikimedians.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the 47th episode of WikiAfrica Hour, which is titled Voices of the Future, Youth Rising in the Wikimedia Movement. As we already enjoyed WikiAfrica Hour each month, and we get used that WikiAfrica Hour is the voice of African Wikimedians and non-African ones as well, supported by Wiki in Africa. And here we have a space to share our work, exchange our experience, and digest. So for today's session, we have a very special guest host. We are honored to have Shahen as our guest host for today. Shahen is a Beirut-born and Yerevan-based Wikipedia editor for 10 years. On Wiki, he's an admin on Western Armenian Wiki, a member of different groups, and has participated in a number of conferences on campus since 2015. And outside of Wiki, he works for Tumu Center for Creative Technologies headquarters. Tumu is a free of charge after school program for teenagers who learn 14 different creative and tech skills all around the world. So he already deal with like a sensitive age group. Thank you so much, Shahen, for accepting the invitation to be the facilitator and guest host for today. We are very interested to have you and have all the guests, and we are sure that will be a great one. So, Mike is yours now, and I'm the backstage. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Donia. Thank you for the introduction, and thank you for trusting me with such a huge responsibility. When Donia actually told me that I will be having the opportunity to host the next WikiAfrica Hour, I told her that I had just finished watching the previous episode not too long before. So I'm very glad to be here, and I am a fan, and I'm very glad that you reached out. So before we move forward, I want to introduce our three guests for today. We have three guests from very diverse backgrounds from around the world, from different continents. So the first guest I want to introduce is from Rwanda. His name is Ndahiro Derrick. He's a passionate Rwandan advocate for peace building, open knowledge, gender equality, and youth engagement and governance. He holds a bachelor's degree in social sciences, gender studies, and criminology from Makerere University, and a master's degree in development and gender studies from the University of Rwanda. He is the founder of Open Source Knowledge Rwanda, which is also called Wikimedia Rwanda, a nonprofit working to make free open knowledge information about Rwanda more accessible, with a strong emphasis on Kinyarwanda usage. Welcome, Derrick, is what your, nickname is, and your username is Ndahiro Derrick. Before we move forward, I want to introduce the two other guests. And then our second guest is from Italy. His name is Ferdinando Traversa. He is the president of Wikimedia Italy. He has been active since 2012 and in Wikimedia Italy since 2016. His home wiki is Italian Wikipedia, but he is also active on Wikidata and Commons. He studied at Università degli Studi di Bari and gained a bachelor's degree in computer science. Welcome, Ferdinando, as well. And finally, our third guest is Ahmad Ali Karim from Wikimedia Community User Group of Malaysia. He's the External Relations Ambassador for the Wikimedia Community User Group Malaysia and a powerful young voice in the world of politics, law, and youth advocacy. He's a student and prolific writer whose work centers around the federal constitution, as well as issues impacting the social well-being of youth. His insights reflect a deep understanding of governance, rights, and civic engagement. He began blogging at the age of 5 years old in 2008, sharing reflections on everyday life. Over time, his blog evolved into a platform for thoughtful commentary on Malaysia's political landscape and constitutional matters, drawing attention from national audiences and thought leaders alike. As of May 2025, it has over 1.9 million readers. I'm very happy and proud to be surrounded by such inspiring individuals as you guys. Welcome. If you have anything to say before we move forward, this is your chance. But I will be coming at you with a lot of questions soon. So be prepared. Do you have anything to say before we move forward? Wonderful. Beautiful. Okay. So some of my questions, all of my questions actually today are going to be revolving around youth topics, clearly, because it is today's WikiAfrica Hour theme. But I want to ask each and every one of you a specific question. And if anyone else wants to add anything else to the question or the answer, please feel free. This is your stage as much as it is the person answering the question, okay? So I want to start with Derrick and about, you know, involvement in the Wikimedia movement, especially as the founder of Wikimedia Rwanda. You basically started something from the ground up. What did you think pushed you to establish a chapter? What were your motivations? What were the challenges, especially engaging young people in Rwanda with the Wikimedia movement from the first days? So, motivations, challenges, and what pushed you, basically.
Thank you so much, Shahen. It's a pleasure being here. Going straight to what really motivated me to establish Wikimedia Rwanda. The whole journey began in 2019. I was a student at Makerere University in Uganda, a neighboring country to Rwanda. So I saw a signpost that was, calling people to come and attend a Wikipedia editathon. Like millions of other people out there, I thought this was a scam because the idea was what like came to my mind straight away was who edits Wikipedia. Moreover, in Uganda or Rwanda or any other country, I thought maybe Wikipedia was edited by a group of experts somewhere in the US or somewhere, in Europe. So when I saw that, I thought, okay, let me go and see what really happens there. So it was organized by Wikimedia Uganda, and this was the Wikilove's women. I think it was Wikigap around March. So I went there. I found it real. It was really shocking to see that there are some people who are editing Wikipedia, and moreover, people were editing in Luganda, which is one of the official languages in Uganda. I found it very interesting. But then, as we are creating content around notable women politicians in Uganda, the idea that came to me was, it's good that I'm learning how to contribute to Wikipedia. It seems very interesting. But now, as a person who comes from Rwanda and I'm in Uganda for studies, how do I contribute? How do I give back to my country, which is Rwanda? And I engaged some of the trainers then. They were like the core team in Wikimedia Uganda, people I really I hold in higher regards because of their contributions. So they started guiding me. I think the first person I think it was Geoffrey. I told him I want to do the same thing in Rwanda. And he was like, okay, it's very possible. And that was March. I began the process of getting trained, being guided, and I would be involved in Wikimedia Uganda activities. And around August the same year, that's when I embarked on a journey to establish Wikimedia Rwanda, which later that year, the end of actually the early March of 2020, that's when we did our first activity as Wikimedia Rwanda, and maybe between getting the idea of establishing Wikimedia Rwanda and having an actual event that is being organized by Wikimedia Rwanda, of course there were lots of challenges. I think the major challenge was actually understanding the whole ecosystem of Wikimedia. There is a lot. Wikimedia, I've been there now 6 years down the road, but every day I get to learn a new thing. So learning and understanding how this movement works. I think it was one of the most, I think, challenging things. Secondly, was also now trying to convince people to be part of this movement that I didn't understand at first. So, telling people, what, you could be part of me. The question would be, how much do I earn from this? How do I edit Wikipedia? I think it has come. It's edited by some other people. I think those two were like the most challenging. Another thing was, now being a young person, you approach a person who you think might be relevant to this movement, but they're like, a young person. I know young people are usually misguided. You're not oriented. You should be doing other things. But lucky enough, along the way, I met people that I really hold in high regards as well. Boris, Clementine, Rebecca. These people understood the idea. They made it their own, and they joined me in this crazy idea of establishing a community in Rwanda. And since then, we've been implementing different activities, including now the weekend of which we organized in 2022, Wikimedia Rwanda getting being an affiliate of the AFCOM team. So it's been a nice journey, but again, in the implementation, one of the most challenging thing is, making people understand this whole ecosystem of open movement, because I think people who speak French, they usually say, well, they mix Kinyarwanda and French and say "turi muri monde ya beneficiaire," meaning like we are in a world, I think, of benefits, if I'm to translate it better. So making people understand that, there is a gap. There is a gap that exists, but you can also lend a hand in bridging that gap without necessarily getting a penny for doing it. So it was the most challenging.
Beautiful. That's a very beautiful backstory of how Wikimedia Rwanda came to be. My next question is actually for Ferdinando, because Ferdinando, you are the president of Wikimedia Italy. I want to understand how you, as youth yourself, deal with attracting youth within your community, within the Italian community. What are your strategies? How do you motivate young people in Italy to get involved and stay active within the chapter? So more about involvement, really, and motivation of involvement.
So I think that's a very important topic, because I feel that as a movement in Italy in particular, we need to grow new energies and grow new volunteers. And I have to admit that a thing that has always been difficult for any age range, so attracting volunteers in general, is a huge topic for us. And what we are trying to do with the youth at the moment is trying to establish a local youth group also for Italian youth contributors, young contributors. So something like what's already happening with the C youth group, or with which is an example I'd like to inform our work on, like what's happening with the Wiki Youth Group in the German Wikipedia, which I feel to be very organized. And I also feel that there is a very strong chapter support towards that. So there are youth conferences, youth campaigns, those kinds of things which tend to create a sense of unity and belonging in the community, which I think is pivotal to then having a strong retention. Also because basically what leads young people to join some kind of project activity is, first of all, the presence of other young people. So if you don't have young people, it's very difficult to attract young people. Luckily, we have a few young people who are part of our projects. And then you need to create a sense of unity, a sense of belonging. But it's a very, very important topic for us as a chapter as well. Community relationship with young people, and everything around that.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of that, what is a program or like a youth-led initiative that you're particularly proud of that Wikimedia Italy supported? Did you have any specific strategies that empowered younger contributors? What were some of the things that you did and it worked? And you can say this is something that can be replicated in different communities that have similar needs and similar approaches, but they worked and they may work for other communities. What's a good success story that you might have?
So you have to admit that even if there is much youth involvement in our activities in general, so for example in Wikilove's Monuments, in participating into the annual conference we have at WikiCon, and we have some young people joining, we are still in the phase of building some kind of youth support program which could work that way. So we are kind of learning at the moment, also because we are in the process of a strategy renewal for the next 5 years, and I would definitely like to have youth included as a program in that. So I'm sorry that we don't have case history to share, but we would like to build one at the moment.
Mm-hmm. That's totally okay. I want to ask the same question to Ahmad and Derrick. So if you have any success stories of youth-related initiatives that worked and can be replicated in other communities around the world that have similar struggles, similar challenges, similar obstacles, what would you say that was? You don't need to have one, because the youth movement in Wikimedia is, as we all know, very new. And even though a lot of youth contributors have existed for a very long time, the establishment and institutionalization of youth committees and groups and projects has become a more important topic. So it's okay if you don't have good examples, but if you do, that's also great.
I mean, if I could start first, for in the case of Malaysia, it's a bit hard to say for a specific thing that is, a success story. Because in our case, actually, most of our members and most of our activists are from the youth themselves. So, for example, one of our most notable volunteers, Taufik Rosman, who was the Wikimedian of the year in 2023, he's a youth himself, and he started from school and became a very prominent Wikimedian since his younger days. And aside from myself, I'm not the youngest. We have people who are still at school, even some of them serving as administrators and going to physical programs as well. I think one of the things that really helped in our case, perhaps, is that we really don't, even like the more senior members in our group, they don't really distance themselves from the younger generation, and they also really listen to what the younger people have to say. Because even for myself, I am technically a senior compared to the younger generations, especially we are going to see the Generation Alpha in the future. Some of them are already in the Wikimedia movement, and if we close ourselves only to what we have, then it's going to be a deterrence for the younger people, because young people, they want to express themselves. So I think this is what we are able to do in Malaysia, fortunately, which is to be more open to newer opinions and newer experiences. How about Derrick?
Yes, thank you so much. I think for me, the most outstanding initiative that was youth-led is the Wikimedia Rwanda Wiki Club program. I think we started seeing this in Nigeria, and we would see that it's really working out. And then we established it in 2023 towards the end. We tried it in one of the schools where we engage high school kids, and we tried it in 2 schools, and it even turned out to be a success. Not necessarily more than other initiatives we have, but it's one of the most outstanding. Seeing young kids between around 14 up to 18 creating content in our local language, which is Kinyarwanda, and it was really amazing to see that actually they were doing it, but the most fulfillment will come in after seeing what they've written growing into something big. For instance, I remember one was in a school in a place called Rwamagana, which is like in the eastern province of Rwanda. So some of the kids, one of them I think was around 13 years then, created an article on Kenya Rwanda Wikipedia about the school where she was studying. After that, people started adding on different things that are very near the school. Like there is a police academy near the school. So the article started, expanding. Seeing it, was really happy because we also organized it in a form of a contest, and then she emerged as a winner. But since then, she's been editing, and we've been able to now do the same in other schools. I think now 5 schools so far. But it's amazing seeing how the teachers and students are really taking up this, because they also tell you, you know what, in class, usually, I think it's a global thing, if I'm not mistaken, people will be like in class, don't you ever use Wikipedia? But then a person is like, they tell us not to use it, but for quick and accurate information, our teachers also run to Wikipedia. So it was really amazing seeing students saying, you know what, I really feel amazing to be part of this movement that is making knowledge available. That's one. But also, making information that is lacking out available, because there is what is already there, but also the beauty of adding it, making it available in our local language. So I think it's one of the most exciting initiatives, where you're seeing it's being led by young people, for young people, and it's really a nice thing, because I see that it's a platform that is being given for young people to also have a voice, contribute on what they like, more than these other spaces where you find maybe it's a contents where they're writing about, for instance, government initiatives to support youth and so on. What if that kid is not interested in that? Then what if they're interested in writing about football teams? So it's one of the outstanding initiatives that we are really proud of. But of course, as you said, there are challenges. I think one of the challenges is making teachers understand how this is relevant, because a person would be like, most of the questions we had from teachers would be, how does it add to science and biology that they're studying in class? I remember one of the students saying, you know what, actually this is very good, because beyond going on internet and looking for what I want, I'm also adding to what people will read when they go to internet to look for what they are not finding in their books and so on. So also, convincing students, not students but teachers, but for students, they're taking it up. Yeah.
That's really wholesome. Thank you, Derrick. So my next question is actually going to be more about involving more youth. So we already spoke more or less about how we motivate youth and how we approach motivation methods, but we didn't really talk about how we can, find interested individuals and young people and motivate them to join us. So even if they don't know about the Wikimedia movement, or they don't know about Wikipedia, and they can edit and they have all these abilities, and open source knowledge is a thing that exists, and they can have so much contribution. It's a big world. So I wanted to ask a question for Ahmad, especially considering you're a part of the external relations affairs of Wikimedia Malaysia. What is something that you think should be done, both out of personal opinion, but also out of experience in Malaysia? What is something that can be done? It could be TikTok, it could be Instagram Reels, it could be newsletters. What is something that you've tried and worked? And if you haven't tried anything yet, what is something that you think could work for others, including Malaysia?
Okay. To speak on the aspect of external relations is a bit hard, because most of my work is like reaching out to strategic partners. But I do discuss a lot with the whole user group relating to recruiting more youth, and we actually were thinking. We were really discussing a lot about developing more on media social. social media presence, but our issue is that we are lacking a lot of the how do I see it, like workforce, the people to actually work on it, because most of us are doing a lot on physical work rather than online activities in relation to social media. But one of the things that we've been doing with in collaboration with the Wikimedia clubs in universities, they themselves on the club level, they also produce some social media content which attracts more students from other universities, of like students from their university, and hopefully also students from other universities. And we also reach out to different institutions. So for example, one of our common collaborators is the University of Malaya, which is one of the oldest university in Malaysia, and we've been working with the Faculty of Languages a lot, and also with my university, which is International Islamic University in Malaysia. So when we work together with these institutions, which where the youth are the main stakeholders, this is where we are able to get a lot of youth engagement. Sometimes it's a bit hard to sustain. Once the program ends, then they leave the movement. Like, they don't really stick around. But at the same time, I think this is also where we get a lot of our members who really retain their activities. So I think like one of our most active members as well, she started by joining one of our programs, one of our competitions with in collaboration with the European Union delegation and the Embassy of Sweden, where we had a 24-hour editathon. So we invited universities, students from university, representatives from universities from all over Malaysia, even from Borneo. Like, they flew in all the way to Kuala Lumpur, and they competed for writing the best article and the most articles within 24 hours. And for that particular student, she's now graduated, and she's been one of our most active members. Just from that small program, I mean, seemingly small program, they can actually retain their activity. So the more that we do collaborations like this, I think the more that we will get. Of course, the percentage will not be a lot, but then the more that we do, that small percentage will mean a higher amount of activity. So I think that's one of the ways that we have successfully gained a lot of youth activity. But I do believe that, as you mentioned, having more presence on like TikTok, Instagram, this is something that's also important. But it's a bit hard for me to say that because we're not doing it ourselves yet. But hopefully, we'll be increasing our media presence soon. And I've seen like Wikimedia in Czech Republic has been doing that really great job. A lot of good content being produced. So hopefully on our end and for other Wikimedia communities, we can also expand our the diversity of our approaches as well.
Wonderful. Thank you, Ahmad. Ferdinando and Derrick, do you want to add anything to the same question about involving and reaching out to new communities? I want to hear from both of you.
So I think that it's key for our movement to be able to stay relevant also for the next years, to find new ways to engage young people. And the data from the Wikimedia Foundation shows that, especially for my region, the Northwestern Europe region, for the Wikimedia Foundation classification, youth from that region, and I think that this will be a tendency that will expand globally, tend to rely less and less on Wikipedia, and they tend to prefer more immediate, more simple, and forms of knowledge, different forms of knowledge that they feel closer to them, like videos, as you were saying, TikTok, like AI answers. So we need to find ways to stay relevant, or we will end like the paper encyclopedias, basically. And we can't let the free knowledge that we every day work for and defend, we can't let that disappear. So we need to find ways to stay relevant. How to do it? That's a tough question. Wikimedia Foundation, AI team, future audiences team, they are doing different experiments. And then there is also the community, for example, English Wikipedia communities who are against, for example, AI-generated summaries or other kind of AI intervention in projects which are so direct. So we really need to find the compromise and to find ways to stay relevant also for young people. Otherwise, we won't be able to have them as readers. Thus, we won't be able to have them as contributors, because I think that the two things are pretty related.
Thank you, Ferdinando. Derrick, do you want to add something?
Yes, something little. I think it's I'm complementing what the previous speaker said. I think it's very important now that the social media, social media is trending. The AI is, taking almost everything. I think it's very important to engage young people, especially now. I usually quote what a person. There's a person who usually says, if you want to engage people effectively, you find them where they are. You don't necessarily call them to where they are, where you are, but find them where they are. So I think first we've tried it. Well, we've not really measured so far the impact it has created, but also using social media platforms to inform the audience on these social media platforms, and now the youth being the majority in Rwanda and maybe in Africa. And it has really turned out to be one of the platforms to engage youth, because we keep getting messages on our Instagram, Facebook, and other platforms, people saying, I'm this and this, I saw what you're doing, I'm interested in being part of this. So I think it's very important that, yes, even though we are doing some things on a meta page, Wikipedia, and having activities offline, but it is also very important to find young people where they are. We've tried using social media platforms like TikTok. So far, we haven't really seen its impact yet. But seeing sometimes when you're scrolling and you see a clip on TikTok and other platforms that calls you to be part of this bigger movement, you're like, oh, okay, so this is, and I've started seeing that it's being done in a very youth-friendly manner, in a way that you do not need to so many professional things for someone to tell you about this movement. I think it might be a TikTok page by I think the Wikipedia. I think that might be run by WMF. But I've seen how the content is created in a way you feel like, oh, okay, I think I could be part of this thing. It looks very fun, but maybe the question that remains is, apart from how the fun and creative ways of attracting youth, when it comes now, the real work, the real contributions, is it done in a very fun and youth-friendly manner? I think that's a question that really remains to be answered. But I think when it comes to engaging and creating awareness, these platforms have really shown to be some of the interesting and useful.
All right. Thank you very much, Derrick. So we have a comment from the audience. So Mr. Benjo, or Benyo, says, as Ferdinando already mentioned, the Young Wikipedianer, young youth Wikipedians in Germany exist since 2007. We are supported by Wikimedia Germany and regularly meet in person, organize competitions, etc. That's really important and interesting to know. And we also have a question from a familiar face, but her username is Small Girl Big Dreams. She has a question, and she says, what do you think are the types of activities or approaches that are the best to gain the youth's attention and trust to join the Wikimedia movement without overwhelming them? So attention and trust without overwhelming. Who wants to give an answer? Ahmed, Derrick, or Ferdinando?
I think I can give a go. It's also actually the person who asked is actually the person I was talking about, who joined our movement from that one competition. So now she's very active and well known. Okay, so yes, this is actually something that's very important because I think one of the I won't say like issues, but like one of the things about approaching people, the challenges is that we can often overwhelm them from our own, the way that we geek out or we nerd out about certain things that we like. When we meet someone and we say, oh, Wikipedia, open knowledge, open movement, these are a lot of things that they have never heard about. So obviously it will be a quick turn off from them. And even if we approach them in a way that they understand, but when they're new and we force them into something, of course they will be overwhelmed. I mean, we will be overwhelmed if someone brings us into something that we're not familiar with. So I think taking, first of all, from my personal experience, what happened was I was initially contributing to Wikimedia by just like, as a lot of people do, just randomly editing certain things that we find are wrong. But it was when I started to fix some of the vector graphics on Wikimedia, on Wikimedia Commons, specifically on flags. I'm a big fan of flags, so when I see some of the designs are wrong, I fix them. And that was when Taufik from Wikimedia Malaysia noticed that I was doing a lot of vector graphics or graphic design in general, and he asked me to help out. And the thing is that he did not immediately like, oh, okay, you must join our programs, you must do this, you must do that. He first asked like, oh, do you want to help out, like make this logo first? We already have the design, but we haven't vectorized it. So, and then like ask him for something else, small, from small to a bit larger and then a bit larger. And eventually I was invited to co-organize an online competition. This was during COVID time, so everything was online. And little by little, eventually I realized that I'm somehow part of this movement already. And I belonged there without ever realizing when I started to belong there. And this is something that's, I think a lot of people share as well. It has to take a while, and we have to make it comfortable for them. In my case, it is related to my interests, graphic design, and all of that. And this goes back to what I mean, Derrick was saying as well. We have to see how we want to adapt to the youth, to the new generation. So in order to make it more, I guess, not overwhelming, I don't have a solid answer for that, of course, because it really depends on the situation. It really depends on the culture as well. In Malaysia, it's different. In Rwanda, perhaps, it's different. In the United States, it's different. But we have to be aware of how the people receive our programs. One of the things that we do in Malaysia is when we conduct any programs, we try to pay attention to how the audience respond to it. And when we try to push ourselves into it, do the audience feel, like they're being forced into this, or are they feeling a part of this program? And one of our recent successes was when collaborating with a TEDx conference recently, just last month, when we held a Wikipedia workshop. It was one of the first times that an audience of complete strangers were very much invested into the program. And I think one of the things that really, how would I say, like that really pulled them, it's not necessarily simply one factor, it's multiple different factors. So we have to be very aware of the situation that we're in. And I think another thing that I learned from that is also related to my Wikimedia club. In my university, in International Islamic University, I established a Wikimedia club, and I'm the president right now. And for starters, when establishing the club, of course, you need some members. And I picked up a lot of my friends who were not even interested in the Wikimedia movement. They're just there to help me fill up the quota for a new club and to also get some co-curriculum points. That's all. But when we went to the conference, when we bonded together, when we don't talk about Wikimedia, but we also do Wikimedia things, that's when they really realize, oh, this is not something that's new or strange. this is something that we're actually interested in. So sometimes we cannot be too blatant about, oh, we want you to join on Wikipedia, we want you to contribute. We also have to make it, I guess, integrated to context that they can relate more to. If that makes sense, if you can understand what I say. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much, Ahmad. I appreciate the thorough answer. Derrick, the next question I want to ask is for you. I wanted to ask more from a founder's perspective in terms of resources, reach, accessibility. For example, I know I was looking up some data earlier today, and for almost 45% of Rwanda has access to internet, which is a huge opportunity for youth to be involved in Wikimedia movements. Even if they don't live in the bigger cities, even if they don't go to the bigger universities, it's still accessible and manageable for them to be included. But obviously, like is the case in every other country, especially bigger countries, access and reach, especially to physical spaces, is a problem, which could demotivate people, especially youth nowadays. So what are some challenges that you think, not just Rwanda, but in general, Wikimedia chapters have in terms of resources, accessibility, outreach, and more like tangible physical problems, you know?
Thank you so much. I think the first to begin with in terms of resources, uh, I would say the most challenging maybe would be the language barrier. I think let me begin with that. You realize that for one to fully engage in this Wikimedia ecosystem, either you're able to speak French or English or any other international language. I'm just thinking of a person who only speaks Kinyarwanda, how they'll easily navigate on Wikipedia, navigate on Wikicommons or any other platform, or even Meta. So you realize that one of the challenges is the language barrier. Uh, Even though there are so many initiatives trying to make it very accessible to every person, but still, you realize you're in need of knowing English beyond any other language you're speaking, or French. So I think that's one. The second thing is maybe that is slightly different with Rwanda. You realize that, yes, like you said, according to the statistics of Rwanda Utility, I think it's Sura, 2024, at least 45% of the whole population had access to internet. We were surprised. Even one of the criteria factors we considered to select these schools were schools in rural areas that have internet. I was shocked. It was 2024 when we realized one of the rural schools in one of the rural areas was they had like fast internet. It was powered by Starlink. I was very shocked. So you realize that internet is easily accessed, but then the technological gadgets beyond having internet. Like now you see for schools, I think one of the challenges is having the computers. Either you're using it because it's time for for ICT. If it's beyond classroom, then you're not going to go to the computer lab and access it the way you would want. Even though there are different initiatives to make laptops easily accessible to schools, just like the program by the government and other initiatives. But you realize people are interested. They have that internet we're talking about, but then the gadgets to help them, make the information or contribute effectively. That's one. The second thing would be, I would say, resources, but in terms of not in a tangible manner, but you'd find that the people who are interested in joining and contributing, and the pool of people who are ready to, receive them and guide them through does not match. Just like the way these, I think we usually hear it in the medical world, where you find that one doctor, like the ratio of one doctor, let's say, to 20 patients. So you're finding the people who are interested in training are very many, but the question is how many people are ready to take them from understanding how Wikipedia and Wikimedia movement are not one thing. Yes, well, one in explaining it might be one thing that leads to the other. Explaining how the work of the work they're doing in Rwanda might benefit someone in Japan or Malaysia. Understanding how a picture they contribute to Wikipedia, to Wikicommons, is going to help a researcher somewhere in the US. So, like the mentorship process it does not really, or the existing mentorship initiatives are not matching with the number of people that are joining the movement. And here you end up having like 200 members who are part of a community with 50 who are active contributors, because these are the ones that are, at least with the limited resources available, can easily reach. Another thing now in terms of funds, though I think to a larger extent it's not the main challenge, because there are lots of resources available people could use without necessarily basing on finances. But also you realize financial resources are also a challenge, because just imagining if you have a country of more than, well, very few people, 14 million, with 45% of that population having access to internet, who might be, who have electricity, who are not going to have, load shedding and so on. The question is, how do you reach out to all these, 45% of the population with the little resources that are at our disposal? So I think the financial challenge also comes in at play. But to some extent, I always feel that it shouldn't be the main challenge, because with or without enough finances, if people are committed, if they really understand the impact of this movement, with the little they have, more could be done.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Derrick, for the answer. I have another question, and it is I want to direct it to Ferdinando, actually. It has to do with governance within wiki movements, but especially governance that pertains to youth. So what is a strategy, if it exists? It doesn't have to exist. Again, this is a very new thing that is currently building itself. So I don't have the answers. That's why I'm asking you. So it's a very new thing, and it's totally okay if we don't have the correct answers yet. But I wanted to ask if there are any governance measures in place at Wikimedia Italy or any other Wikimedia chapter or user group or affiliate group that you know of that ensures or guarantees the voice of the youth to be heard within the chapter or community or user group or affiliate. So for you as a young person, Ferdinando, and also as the president of Wikimedia Italy, your voice clearly matters. Ahmad, in terms of external relations, even though he's young, his voice clearly matters. Derrick, as the founder, his voice clearly matters. But for any other young person within your community, is there a specific mechanism or strategy in place to ensure that they're also heard or they participate in the processes that pertain to your communities? That was a very complicated way of asking if there's a way to guarantee young people are heard. And one of the main things to ensure that is not to complicate words. Okay, sorry. Go ahead, Fernando.
So, I don't think, I'm not aware of any affiliate which has specific measures, for example, quotas or any other ways to ensure that young people are well represented in the bodies and the commissions and the committees which may take decisions. And I also think that when we talk about diversity in the movement, we sometimes tend to forget that also age diversity is a very important factor to keep into consideration. And it's a thing that I always tend to underline when we have diversity criteria involved, because we check for gender, we check for geographical diversity, but we don't always remember to include also age diversity in our consideration. And so that's very important. I don't think there are specific measures, but I would also like to underline how our movement our organizations, at least from my personal experience, are a kind of environment which is very horizontal. Unlike other NGOs, other volunteer organizations, in which you have a very rigid, well-defined structure, in which there is some like boss giving orders to all the volunteers, and I see this always happening in any kind of volunteer organization. Yeah, so you have something very well organized. You have people who take decisions and people who implement them. And for example, we need to do this and this and this. In the Wikimedia movement, you are very free to do whatever suits you and whatever you prefer, both online and offline. And I think that's a very important factor of freedom, which is could be one of our key assets in ensuring that young people get involved. And there is also the factor that we are very horizontal even in making people participate in decision taking. So we have open discussions in which people can join, which isn't a very common thing in other kind of organizations. And so also board elections in our chapters allow young people to be part. Maybe we should have some kind of encouragement to make them understand that they can run for their board elections. They can try to get in the decision bodies, and they should be involved in any discussion, both online and offline, to the chapter means. But I think there is a lot of space for young people in our movement, and our movement is a very caring and very welcoming one. So we always welcome any kind of experience, any kind of age, any kind of people who would like to join, including young people. So we have this strong asset in our organization that we could use more to attract more and more people.
Awesome.
Thank
you. Thank you, Ferdinando. And for my last kind of open-ended question for today, before we move on to other things, has to do with the future, and the future of not just the Wikimedia movement, but in general, involvement of youth in the Wikimedia movement. How to motivate them, how to ensure that they have their own initiatives, how to encourage them to have their own initiatives. And when I say they, I mean us. For example, me, as Donia mentioned in the bio, and it's an example I wanted to bring up throughout this panel, but I joined the Wikimedia movement 10 years ago because of a youth initiative by Wikimedia Armenia. So I didn't know. I obviously had started not volunteering, but like making edits on Wikipedia, but like here and there, not consistently. I knew it was a thing. It happens. It's a reality, but I didn't know there were structures behind it. I didn't know there was governance behind it. I didn't know a foundation was behind it. So because of a Wikipedia or like a wiki camp organized by Wikimedia Armenia and then replicated by the Western Armenian user group that I'm a part of, in many countries around the world, I think was one of the reasons why not just me, but dozens of other people within my community have become permanent members for the past decade now. So these are some of the very cool examples that I can think on that I want to talk about. But here's my last question for today for this panel. Let's kind of imagine it's 2030. It feels scary to think about 2030 from now, but we have to be able to plan ahead. For your own, let's say, wider regions. So for the European region, for the African region, for the Asian Pacific region, what is something you wish youth had within the Wikimedia movement? What is the dream scenario for youth in Wikimedia movements? Take your time. without
So
too much time.
if um, if I can start, I think that what I dream is to have active youth groups in every region, and I'm very inspired by the work the Germans are doing on that. So youth group in every region, uh, spaces for meeting uh, for young people, both in the wiki activities for so campaigns for aimed at young people, but also to create bonds outside the wiki world, so to keep them in contact as a whole, and also to have Wikimedia projects like Wikipedia, which include some features to be more interesting for young people, because in 2030 we are going to have a generation of kids who have been growing with AI and with TikTok, and we can't let our projects stay behind. So we need to be still relevant also for them. So from a side, we need to have projects which feature interactive contact, which is suitable for young people. And from the other side, I would like to see in every region young people groups like the Sea Youth, like the Germans, like the Armenian wiki camps that create strong involvement for young people.
Thank you, Ferdinando. Derrick or Ahmad, we only have a minute and a half, just like Ferdinando, so you can't take too much time. So just
Okay.
90 seconds to answer.
If I
Okay.
may, sure, we can go first.
Okay,
It's okay.
amazing. Okay, I'm seeing the Wikimedia movement that has young people at the forefront of making decisions, because you realize the majority of young people are, I would say, majorly in contributing. But I'm seeing a 2030 that has youth that are at the forefront of shaping the strategic direction of user groups. I'm also seeing a 2030 that has youth within the movement that very many now from Africa, because I've been part of conversations, part of initiatives, part of conferences where you realize that youth from Africa are usually very less compared to the other, attendees. So I look forward to 2030 where the Wikimedia ecosystem is fully represented, whether be it in terms of age, be it in terms of the geographical location, be it in terms of experience, be it in all aspects, so that we can fully say that we are fully like we have equal representation. That's my dream. That's what I look forward to seeing in 2030 in the movement.
Sorry, I
Yeah, it's okay.
thank you, Derrick. Ahmad.
Okay. I would hopefully, I really hope to see a more integrated community. So we don't only have like an active youth group, an active youth community, an active youth group, but I want to see them working hand in hand with the rest of the community. So we always see in sometimes there's like this, not to say segregation per se, but like we always work differently and in different parts. Perhaps it's because of comfort, which is understandable. Sometimes we're more comfortable around our circles, but at the same time, the integration of a younger workforce and a more experienced senior workforce, this is something that can really benefit a lot of the movement. And especially now we're seeing, as I mentioned just now, we're even having a younger youth generation below us. We're going to be seniors. We are seniors to some of them, the newer people, and we're going to be seniors soon. So, but at the same time, we want to work together with them. We want to understand them, and if possible, we want to be as the same as them, like to truly understand how they feel, to truly become the way not like to become the way they are per se, but then to be able to embody their spirit as well. And this is going to help with the sustainability of our movement, because we'll be able to really integrate each and every group. So I really hope that this is going to be the future of our movement, if possible earlier than 2030.
Awesome. All right. Thank you, Ahmad. All right. That's all of the questions I have for you guys today. These were really important insights in terms of youth engagement, involvement, motivation, governance, and access and reach and outreach. And it has been really interesting to hear about very diverse experiences from different parts of this world. With that, I give the floor back to the wonderful organizer of today's WikiAfrica Hour episode, Donia. Donia, are you here? Hi, she's here.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Shahen, and thank you all of our guests for today. I really enjoyed this episode, and actually, as Wiki in Africa believe in the role and the importance of youth empowerment, this episode we were insisted to organize. So we hope that this conversation give the chance to many of you to collaborate and exchange more ideas from different countries around the world and different communities. I want to thank also our audience for their interaction. You really made the episode a very special one, but do not go away because we still have to nice and brief and nice segments. We were going to present a monthly news for this month, and then the infocast section. So let's watch together the news for June's month.
Welcome back to WikiAfrica Hour News. As always, we're here with the latest updates from across the Wikimedia movement. Let's dive into this month's highlights, starting with exciting news from Wiki in Africa. A heartfelt thank you goes out to the first-round reviewers of Wiki Loves Africa 2025. This dedicated group worked tirelessly to go through more than 30,000 image submissions, carefully assessing entries from across the continent. Thanks to their incredible effort and attention to detail, the submissions have now been shortlisted to just 3,342 images for the next round of judging. Your work is essential to spotlighting the most impactful visual stories from Africa. Thank you for helping celebrate and showcase Africa's beauty through Wikimedia.
Wiki in Africa joined Wikimedia Ukraine's Technical Skills course to showcase the ESA tool. I represented how the ESA supports categorizing and adding structured data to Wikimedia Commons images. The session was part of a 6-week course aimed at building contributors' technical skills. Catch the full lecture on Wikimedia Ukraine's YouTube channel.
Now moving on to contests, events, and community initiatives.
A community-led project in Cheriboni, Ghana successfully introduced the Anufu-speaking community to Wikipedia via the Wikimedia Incubator. Over 30 new editors were trained, with 55 quality articles produced and full localization of MediaWiki messages in Anufu via TranslateWiki. The initiative also emphasized inclusion, gender sensitivity, and mentorship, making it a landmark step in indigenous language representation on Wikimedia platforms. Read more about this wonderful achievement on the
The Wiki Loves Earth 2025 contest is underway. Running from May to July, participants are encouraged to submit photographs of natural heritage sites in their countries to Wikimedia Commons. Submissions will be judged in 2 categories: landscapes and close-ups. National and international prizes are up for grabs. Learn more or get involved by clicking the link on screen now.
The wait is over. African Wikimedians across the continent and diaspora are invited to submit scholarship applications and program proposals for Wiki Indaba 2025, taking place in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania from 21st to 23rd November 2025. Visit the Wiki Indaba conference meta page now for all relevant information. Let's unite and grow together under the year's theme.
Wikimedia Nigeria Foundation, in collaboration with Young Innovation Leaders and the Initiative and the Lagos Status Records and Archives Bureau, has launched the Wiki Heritage Fellowship. This program will digitize hundreds of rare Nigerian historical records and make them accessible via Wikipedia. The initiative includes archival training, youth development, and editathons. Applications are open until June 30th, so apply now.
Wikimania 2025 in Nairobi is officially sold out for in-person attendees. But don't worry, you can still register for the virtual event. The online version promised more interactive features than ever before. If you receive the scholarship, your spot is reserved. Register today.
Join the Let's Connect community on Friday, June 27th from 1400 to 1600 UTC for a learning clinic focused on copyright reform in Uganda, South Africa, and Nigeria. This session, hosted in English with translation in Arabic, Spanish, Portuguese, and French, explores how Wikimedians can advocate for public interest in policy reform. Register by using the link on screen now. Get insight, strategy, and guidance on participating in international Wikimedia copyright advocacy coalitions. And finally, an update from the Wikimedia Foundation. The Wikimedia Foundation is calling for candidates for the 2025 Board of Trustees election. 2 seats are open, with nominations running until the 2nd of July. If you have governance experience and a passion for Wikimedia's mission, consider applying or nominating someone today. More info on the link on screen now.
Don't miss out. Catch all the updates, links, and featured items on the WikiAfrica Hour news page on MetaWiki. Thanks for watching the news, and now for the last segment for today's episode, which is the In Focus section. As we used, In Focus section is focused on a person, event, and in today's episode, we're focused on event. Actually, we recorded some interviews while I was attending the Wikimedia Youth Conference last month. So we are going to watch some of the experiences and takeaways from some of the attendees of the conference. So stay with us.
Hi, I'm Abdurrahim Ziblim, a Wikimedian from Ghana. I joined the Wikimedia Foundation since 2021, so I've been 4 years in the movement. However, at the time I joined, I didn't have much knowledge about editing until 2024 February, where I was made the lead of Tamale Wiki Hub, which I'm currently leading. And so far I've been able to recruit about 80 people.
Hello, my name is Arin Aburman. I'm from Jordan. I joined Wikimedia movement since 2017. I work mainly with Wikimedia education program in the universities and with the school students. And I am founded and vice president for the Jordanian Digital Arabic Content Association.
Hi, my name is Micaela. I'm from Bolivia and I'm a volunteer at Wikimedistas de Bolivia. I joined, it's going to be almost 2 years.
My name is Ndahiro Derrick. I'm from Rwanda. I represent Wikimedia Rwanda. I joined in 2019. Back then I was a student in Uganda, thanks to Wikimedia Uganda, because they mentored me all along. And since that time, I embarked on a journey to establish a community in Rwanda.
My name is Paula. I'm from Chile. I'm part of an environmental organization back home called Ojos de Mar. And that's what mainly brought me to Wikimedia movement 1 year ago. So I've been involved for 1 year, mostly in editing in Wikipedia, but also contributing to Wikidata and Wikicommons.
Hello, my name is Ahmad Karim. I am from Malaysia, representing Wikimedia Community User Group Malaysia. I'm serving as the External Relations Ambassador for the user group since 2 years ago.
Oh yes, I think it's very important, not only in Wikimedia but also in other spheres of life. It's very important to have young people have a platform where they discuss some of the challenges they face because they are youth, some of the solutions they think should, be put in place to make sure the challenges are addressed. So I think it's very important because young people are very creative, energetic, curious, and innovative. So I think it's very important for young people to have spaces like this where they share things that they will easily understand from their level without anyone coming in and saying, you know what, we tried that and it didn't work out. Because I think what really limits young people is usually the discouragement from the older generation, because they're like, we tried that and it didn't work out.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's important to gather, well, in general, just having the moment to meet other people from different countries that are involved in Wikimedia projects. I think it's relevant. Also, having a specific meeting for youth together, I think it's important because we get to, just get to see what's going on in their own communities in different parts of the world. I think it's very valuable, and it's very inspiring too. So I think the conference has been very interesting. It had allowed me not only to connect with other people, but to reflect on my own experience and the things that I want to do. So yeah.
I think one of the challenges youth face in their life is about getting right opportunities and then exposure. So when someone, for instance, I came from Africa, and most of the time when someone is done with the educational system, accessing job, getting the right place to go and stuff is very difficult and challenging to youth.
So one of the biggest challenge that we face right now for me is apathy. A lot of the youth, they have this attitude where they don't really bother or they don't really care about what's going on. They feel that, some of them, they feel that whatever that they do will not bring any effect to the world. Some of them completely feel that they're not affected by anything that's going on. So, but then the thing is that if we continue to be apathetic this way, we can see that the future will quickly deteriorate in front of our eyes. So, but it still remains as a challenge for us, and we really hope that with as much youth movements united as possible, we will be able to bring more awareness to all the youth across the world.
Well, it's hard to generalize, right? Because we come from different cultures, backgrounds, and everything. But I think in general, one challenge that we face is connecting with others in a deep level. I think with the use of technology and social media, and so we're constantly giving so much information and so many stimulus in general. I think it's difficult to really get the time to connect on a meaningful level and reflect. And
I would say lack of mentorship. You find that we are very enthusiastic, we have time, we have skills, sometimes limited, fine, but we lack mentorship, we lack guidance, in a way that you find a person joins the Wikimedia movement today, but after 5 years, in most cases, you're not going to see them. So the question is always, what happens from the time a person joins the movement to the time they choose to pause a bit? So I think we lack mentorship and proper guidance.
Well, I would say that maybe sometimes that some of them, not all, but some of them don't feel enough. They feel that there is not enough representation because there is a lot of young people that comes from different cultures and also that they speak different languages. And at the beginning, someone used to think that the movement is just in English or Spanish, but it's more than that.
Before coming to the conference, I was wondering if I can apply this idea, and I didn't know about the policies, if Wikimedia Foundation policies allow this idea or no. The idea was to collaborate with a blogger or influencer in my country, and to make him, he has many number of youth followers, and to deal with him to promote for Wikipedia. Or any Wikimedia projects, so the access for the youth will be faster and more effective maybe. From this conference, I asked and find that it is possible, and it is the Wikimedia Foundation next step this year.
I would say that the main, if we want to talk about my main goal of what to do once I go back, it will be to help establish the ESIAP youth network, so among the East, Southeast Asian and the Pacific, because we have a lot of youth among our groups. Even in Malaysia, the vast majority, I think over 90% of our volunteers are actually youth, but we don't really have a coordinated movement for the youth as much as that is whereas I've learned a lot from discussing with, especially those from CEE who have established their youth group, and even from other youth groups from around the world. Now that we've learned some of the coordination strategies, now we've learned a lot of things that they've done before, and what are the things that we should avoid, and so on. I think we can, along with my other ESIAP friends, there's about 8 of them here. We can try our best to bring this back to our region and hopefully bring betterment to our region and the world.
Sure. For example, I was talking with some people that are also from South America, and we were talking about the possibility of contribute and work together to have a community, but a community for young people. And in South America, it was very interesting.
So seems that we are reaching the end of the episode for today. Thank you for all the guests, the host, the audience, and WikiAfrica team who worked on this episode. We hope that you enjoyed it and find it inspiring for all the youth across the movement. And next episode, don't forget to join us in the last Wednesday of the month, and also don't forget to press subscribe button on YouTube and follow us on LinkedIn and Facebook. See you next month.
WikiAfrica Hour is a production of Wiki in Africa that supports the development of the Wikimedia movement across Africa. We value your suggestions on social media for the topics you want to discuss. We look forward to your participation next month at the same time and on the same channel. Hit the subscribe button to stay open and up to date, and follow WikiAfrica on social media. See you at the next WikiAfrica Hour.